Hello, this is Katalin Beth and welcome to day 4 of the 5-day toe-up sock challenge. Today we'll be working on our Afterthought Heel. We'll be picking up live stitches underneath the scrap yarn, the provisional row, and then turning our sock around and then picking up live stitches on the other side. After that we'll remove our provisional stitches and this will create a nice hole with the live stitches on both our needles, the front and the back needle, which we're working in the round again and knitting our heel, which looks just like the toe. Let's begin. Make sure that your toe is pointing downwards, and this will be at the beginning of your round. Pick up the right leg of all the stitches directly beneath the scrap yarn row, beginning with the stitch on the marker, and you'll remove markers as you come to them. If you have a smaller needle, a smaller sized needle, this is a size of 4mm. If you have smaller needles, it actually makes this process go a lot quicker. And we're at the end of this side, so we take, that's the last stitch, take our marker off, and we should have 18. I would check at this point, 2, 4, and we have. And now we turn our work around so that our toe is pointing up. And then we pull our needle through so that the live stitches are on the cable and that needle stays there. And again, we pick up the right leg of all the corresponding stitches of the scrap yarn. Underneath that, there's our first stitch, and we just remove that like so, and do exactly the same. And the last stitch, remove the marker. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Okay, so we're just going to pull that through, turn our work around so that we're at the beginning of the round again. And just, you don't have to put your needles there, but it just creates a nice working space. Before we remove our scrap yarn, don't forget to go inside your sock and undo the very loose knot of the tails of the scrap yarn, otherwise the tails won't pull through. Okay, so they should be released. I went ahead and did that. And you just find the beginning and just pull. Now I'm not going to record me doing this, it'll take a while, so I'll see you at the end. And if you find it easier to actually work with the cable on your live stitches, and just pull that needle through. So the scrap yarn has been removed and we're at the beginning of our round for the heel, toes pointing downwards. We'll be working with the front needle and the back needle and working in rounds again. Before we start, I'd like to show you that because the scrap yarn was holding this round together, it has created its own space between needles. So then when we put our needles together, it actually creates this bit of a hole. See that hole? On both sides. So what we need to do is eliminate that gap by picking up 2 stitches in that area. What I do first is I knit across the front needle. And now I'm ready to pick up those 2 stitches. Before I do that, I'd like to show something. I'd like to show you the best way to do that so that you don't actually create a hole. If you pick up a stitch there, you'll see there's a bit of a gap there. So what we need to do is, and you'll see that this stitch is joined up to this column here, and that stitch is joined up to that column there, and then there's this gap over here. You'll also see that there's the working yarn next to, not the working yarn, the joining yarn, sorry, next to the stitches. So you want to pick up that joining yarn with, and here you'll see there's a sort of a freestanding row right there, and that joins from the front to the leg. So you pick up that leg here and the joining yarn on that side, and then I would go here and pick up the joining yarn there. So we've just knitted across the front. I need to pull my needle through. Okay, so I would pick up that leg and the joining yarn here. So you need to pick up 2 strands and make that fairly tight. So there's the joining yarn here. I pick up this one and go over that here, pull tight, and these stitches belong on the front needle, so we'll just pull that through and then do exactly the same to the back needle. Because you've increased by 2, your stitch count is up by 2. On the next round, you'll be knitting a plain knit round to reinforce the stitches just picked up. On the following round, you will knit all the way down across the front needle until you reach 4 stitches from the end. Knit these 2 together and knit these 2 together, and then you are decreasing those picked up stitches and you'll be back to your original stitch count. Just let me show you a completed heel and the area which we've just been speaking about. There it is. There's absolutely no hole, no gap around here on both sides. You'll continue knitting your Afterthought heel, decreasing every alternative round by knitting 2 together at either end of the needle on both sides and alternating with a knit round until you have 8 stitches left on the front and the back needle. And that completes today's task. For day 5, I'll show you how to do a beautiful neat grafting using Kitchener stitch, which creates a beautiful finish for your Afterthought heel. Happy knitting, and I'll see you for day 5.